She's always on my case about watching the ball.
A true work of art is a picture worth 1,000 words.
They call it an addiction, I guess it is, but there are worse things to be addicted to.
This is something she looks forward to and wants to do, and I think it keeps her young.
Yes, he got the telegram, and he got killed the next day.
Yeah, it's not the cleanest job ever.
I think she teaches me more than I teach her sometimes.
Off the Beaten Path is sponsored by Bemis.
Just a sample of what we're going to get to in today's show. Hey everybody, I'm Ross Rawling. Off the Beaten Path came about during a conversation a few years ago. We wanted a segment with life, character, inspiration, and sometimes a little heartache. We wanted something you don't see every day, but most importantly, we wanted to tell your stories. We've been doing just that for a long time, and today, our good friends at Bemis are bringing you a half-hour special best of Off the Beaten Path. Let's get right to it. Another morning
Turn.
at the baseball field,
Attaboy.
where the work gets done as the stands sit empty. Tony Roselli's used to this kind of work,
Good.
doing speed drills for what seems like forever.
Don't let the left hand come across your body.
Coached by his father, a former Olympian, Tony's agility is off the charts.
Good.
But what about that swing? So smooth, so effortless, so coached.
It's just something that's shared of sports in both sides of our family, and we couldn't be closer.
Both sides?
She's always on my case about watching the ball and picking a hole and where to hit it.
She has a sweet swing as well. Cheryl Roselli picked up ping pong in the basement with her father at just 7 years old.
He used to tell me, he said, when you beat me, you know you're good. And I was 11 the first time I beat him. And so it just went on from there.
For 9 years, she competed at the highest level.
By the time I was 15, I was on the national team and got to travel all over the world then. I've been to Sweden 3 or 4 times, Japan, Yugoslavia when there was a Yugoslavia, Cuba, Barbados, Finland.
It's a sport that shaped her life.
Table tennis has been good for me, let me see the world and meet new people and do new things, and basically that, and even let me meet my husband. So it was a good time.
A style that translates to the baseball field, something she proved to Tony a long, long time ago.
He thought that he could hit the ball anywhere he wanted to, and my wife tried to tell him, and he said, "Mom, what do you know? You just played ping pong." So we went out to the Little League Park in North Little League.
So the story goes,
We went out there one day and she was teaching me how to take the ball the other way, and she didn't miss. She hit every ball solid to the opposite field. She didn't even hit a couple out. She knows what she's doing there.
from that moment on, the teaching's been easy. It's nice when your coach is just right down the hall.
I can't say you've never been there before because they've both been to the top level. So whenever I have a question or like a problem, I'll go to them, and they always have good advice.
Now years removed from competition, it's watching her son excel that's been the drive for Cheryl.
It's been awesome. I mean, we knew he has the athletic ability, and to see it come full circle is great. I mean, he's got the ability, and now it's just up to Tony to take it to wherever he wants to go. The sky's the limit, and he, I think, knows that, and it's up to Tony what he wants to do.
The day always comes when a child's ability surpasses that of their parents. And while Tony's owned the baseball field this summer, step inside a minute. You'll find at the ping pong table, it's still Cheryl holding court. With Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, I'm Ross Rawling, Sports 10. That was a fun one. The self-proclaimed fastest portrait artist in the world spent time right here in the Valley. So one day we went down to Honey Creek Mall and found this picture-perfect story. You can't put a price on perfection.
A true work of art is a picture worth 1,000 words.
Then imagine the worth of thousands of pictures.
Here we go.
All day,
Now comes the beautiful eyes.
Every day,
Cute little nose there.
Robin Walker captures the identity of the public in his portraits.
Smile. Bigger. There you go.
But there's more to these portraits.
You just gotta have the magic.
Notice the timestamps around the easel.
There she go, come alive here in a minute.
Walker claims to be the fastest living portrait artist in the world.
11 minutes and 38 seconds.
But it didn't come easy. Convicted of conspiracy to murder at age 19, Walker was to serve a life sentence. Behind bars, he discovered his uncanny ability. 7 years later, he was out on parole.
Well, I pursued being an artist as my only survival. The only thing I knew I was good at. So I had to pursue it.
Living homeless ever since, a self-proclaimed gypsy, unable to secure a lease with his criminal history.
Survival, you know, I let my art be my sole, support.
But when the music comes on,
No, I gotta have the music. That's just the way my life has been motivated, it keeps me active.
and the Sharpie comes out,
Well, this is it right here.
an incredible ability emerges from this ex-con.
I tell the public a lot, I'm a true Gemini. This is one spirit that I have, and this is another spirit. But he's famous because he's the person that draws the pictures.
More than 130,000 portraits later,
And there's the lenses in her glasses to put the eyes behind the glasses.
each one representing the skill of this mysterious man.
That's the satisfaction I get, is the after effect. I know these people's gonna hang these in their homes and hang it in their grandchildren's home someday. And there we are.
61 years of travel and turmoil,
It has been an interesting life.
all focused on making each drawing of each day
You're welcome.
picture perfect. In Terre Haute, I'm Ross Rawling. And that's Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, reporting at the Honey Creek Mall for News 10. Well, we're just getting started. Up next, a story that'll give you some motivation the next time you're looking for an excuse to avoid your workout. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. If you ever find yourself in need of a little motivation to hit the gym, well, get ready for this next piece. Iron Stan is one that we hope leaves you thinking anything is possible. In the most gorgeous of settings, he puts his body through things most could never imagine.
They call it an addiction, I guess it is, but there are worse things to be addicted to, I suppose.
Addictions can be powerful. The word carries such a negative connotation, but Stan Strome's addiction is simply remarkable. Stan's addicted to working out, no matter what the activity. Every day you can find him training for the next competitive race. It's been that way for a long time, around 40 years in fact.
I'm actually faster now than I was back in my 30s, which doesn't make a lot of sense, I know.
He's 61 years old, and after retiring at the beginning of the year, finally has the time to train for the toughest race of all.
And I remember getting ready to jump in the water, and it was still dark, and it was just, the sun was getting ready to come up, and I kissed my daughters goodbye, and I said, I'll see you tonight. I knew it was going to be a long day.
Iron Man.
There were some days that were 7-8 hour training days.
The training, nothing compared to the race. And the race, nothing compared to Stan.
You just dig down a little deeper and just keep fighting through it. And so it's as much mental as physical.
At the Louisville race in August, it all paid off. A 2.4-mile swim, followed by 112 miles on a bike, topped off with a marathon, 26.2 miles of running. After nearly 14 hours of grueling physical strain, he finished.
The feeling of just crossing that finish line was just amazing. To hear him actually say on the loudspeaker, "Stan Strome, you are an Iron Man."
His first Iron Man in the books at 61 years old, defying nature one step at a time.
Yeah, at 61, I don't know how many good years I got left, but I'll fight it as long as I can. My goal is to do this the rest of my life if the body holds out.
If he keeps performing at this level too much longer, they may have to change the name from Iron Man to Iron Stan. With Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Ross Rawling, Sports 10. Well, he is still going. Since this story was produced, Stan has actually qualified and finished the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. After the break, we'll show you a waitress who's been a fixture at a family establishment for years. That's coming up when the best of Off the Beaten Path returns. When a story about a waitress at a Terre Haute restaurant gets picked up by more than 50 network affiliates around the country, it's got to be included in a show like this. At the Saratoga Delight is a sandwich. It's a fixture on the menu. And the waitress is a fixture in the hearts of customers. It's been a fixture on the corner of 5th and Wabash for almost 75 years. The Saratoga. Founded in 1942 by Abe Malooly and his brother Joe. It's been family owned and operated for generations. The bar, recently renovated, one of the things that's changed over the years.
What would you like, honey?
But then there's the waitress.
I cut these lemons this morning.
She's been a constant.
How's that, girl? One day, Abby called me, and Kate says, "Oh, come on, we just want you to try it. If you like it, stay." He gave me a table of 10. I waited on him, and he says, "Now, you want to work?" And I said, "I guess so."
That day was back in 1975.
I love it here, and I love the people. I love the customers. All the customers have always been so nice to me.
Betty Azar has been here ever since.
Okay, grilled cheese. You want that on white?
Greeting customers.
Hi, guys. 2 iced tea.
Yeah. Committing orders to memory.
Here we go, sweetie.
Thank you. And trying to stay current.
Okay, so they're at table 111.
With the changing technology.
Oh, yes, it's changed. This thing here, poor thing, I really call it a lot of names. They got that silly machine back there that I can't keep up with.
Now put strips.
Where in the hell's the
S,
strip?
you have to...
What do you call it?
There you go.
Finish and send.
You did it.
I'd rather have my paper and write it down.
How you been? Good. Your hair looks nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it looked terrible.
No, you look fancy.
A lot has happened since Betty started. Her son married into the Malooly family, and now she works side by side with her granddaughter, Alexis.
Every day I think to myself, I really hope that when I'm her age, I can be doing what she's doing because she's so happy, she loves it, she looks forward to it.
Yeah, he still remembers me. My granddaughter told me that she had a couple people call her, want to know what day I come in, because they just love to talk to me, you know. What the heck did we have today? I forgot what it was.
Clam strips.
Clam strips, how did you know?
I read it on the board.
Oh.
Now 91, she only works Thursday afternoons. But Betty brings the same contagious energy she brought to the table 40 years ago.
Thank you, Betty.
This is something she looks forward to and wants to do, and I think it keeps her young. I really do.
Here's Shelley. She's the mean waitress. Here's a good little worker.
The bond, a bonus.
The best worker we got here.
I really think it's special that we get to work together, and I know that, you know, when that time comes where we can't anymore, it's going to be really hard.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Until that day comes, the patrons will laugh.
What about you?
And your meal will come out with that familiar, infectious smile.
Thanks, Betty.
How's that, guys?
Looks great.
A true Saratoga delight.
A triple-decker ham roast beef.
In Terre Haute with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta.
It is a beautiful sandwich.
Ross Rawling, News 10. What a character. Well, we'll check in with a member of our greatest generation when the best of Off the Beaten Path, brought to you by Bemis, returns. Hey, welcome back, everyone. One of the most fascinating scenes I've ever witnessed. A story more than 70 years in the making. We caught up with a local World War II veteran who finally completed one last mission. Patriotism on display. Outside the American Legion in Bloomington, Indiana. Just a pretty day in early spring for most, but for World War II veteran John Mace, it's a day he's had on his mind for decades.
I've been wanting to do this after I got out of service after World War II was over.
You see, Staff Sergeant Mace fought alongside another soldier named Harry Kent. One cold January day in 1945, Kent shared exciting news that he'd become a father. Just days later, he was killed.
I was with him until the day of his death.
For more than 7 decades, Mace assumed that Kent's baby boy couldn't have known that his father did in fact know of his birth.
I'm so glad to meet you.
That's where Gary Kent comes in.
John had served with my dad and knew him well and had wanted to meet me for a long, long time.
2 weeks ago, Gary Kent knew nothing about John Mace. Suddenly, he found himself listening to stories about the father he never got to know.
Your dad was a good man.
Moments of history shared in front of our eyes.
Sergeant Galambewski was our first sergeant.
History of the war.
Eisenhower sent orders to General Patton.
History of our country, and history that had been on John Mace's mind for longer than 70 years.
Would you have been near him on the battlefield the day he was killed?
I was about 12 feet from him.
Oh.
A revelation.
He got a telegram that said, "You was born on the 12th.
He got that?
He got that telegram. That's what I've been for all these years. I wanted to be.
Yeah. All the newspaper accounts said that they didn't know whether he had learned.
Yes, he got the telegram, and he got killed the next day.
A moment frozen in time.
I mean, this just blows my mind. To think here I am, 71 years old, and I'm suddenly talking to a guy that was 12 feet from my dad when he was killed.
A 71-year-old son taking in a first-hand account of the day his dad died in battle, and a member of the greatest generation completing one last mission.
I'd like to give you a picture of my dad.
Would you like to have that?
Sure would.
John, thank you so much.
Mission complete. In Bloomington, Indiana, with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Ross Rawling, News 10. Really was a remarkable scene that day in Bloomington. Well, coming up, we find some fun out on the water. Check out a not-so-typical fisherman when we return. Sometimes you've got to see something to believe it. That was the case one day on the Wabash when Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta and I were gone fishing. Sweet serenity on the banks of the Wabash.
Anything that has to do with the water, I love it.
It's what swims under these peaceful waters that stocks the cases here at Horton's Fish Market in Vincennes.
How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Kelly Parker got her first job here.
You guys ready to order?
Waiting tables, cleaning fish, even making fish-themed earrings.
And I cut the barbs off of them so they wouldn't hook us in the head or whatever.
But it's not what she does in here.
All right, guys.
That caught our attention. It's what Kelly's catching when she's not here.
There we go.
Kelly was raised on the river.
Yeah, I took my first boat ride when I was probably about 5 months.
A 22-year-old commercial fisherman.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Helping catch the fish served out of Horton's each week.
Probably about a 3-pound flathead.
I knew she knew the river. She knows the safety part of it. She respects it. And I was very confident she could do the job.
We met a guy yesterday and he kind of said, "Who's your helper here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a girl, I know, whatever."
Well, before Kelly started with me, I hired a young boy, probably 23, and he couldn't do it.
She pulls fish that sometimes seem bigger than she.
Yeah, it's not the cleanest job ever.
It's out on the Wabash, where Kelly Parker feels at home.
My grandparents actually met out here, and my dad and I have this like special bond, and we get to fish out here, so I don't know, it's just kind of family, runs in the family, I guess.
I think she teaches me more than I teach her sometimes.
It's hard telling what these nets might yield.
Virgin, you never know what's going to come out of the river. It could be a 3-pound fish or a 50-pound fish. It's always something different every day.
But one thing's for sure.
Better luck next time.
Kelly Parker is hooked.
That's why you call it fishing and not catching.
In Vincennes with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Ross Rawling, News 10. Now that was a fun day. And we're always looking for that next story to tell. If something in your neck of the woods is off the beaten path, email me at the address on your screen. Thanks to our good friends at Bemis for making this show possible. Until next time, thanks for watching.
This has been the Wabash Valley's most accurate and reliable newscast, News 10. For local news 24 hours a day, visit WTHI-TV.com.